All right, today let's start learning how to make a nicer looking map. Let's start with our new empty project in QGIS. Let's add in our street map by double clicking on OpenStreetMap. Let's add in our CSV file showing the turtle locations by going to Layer, Add Delimited Text Layer. We will navigate over to our ENST 456 folder on our desktop and go to Turtles location. We tell it it's a CSV, and I already simplified the data so that your X column is the X plane of our coordinate system, and the Y field matches up with the Y plane. And it looks like it's already loading in the correct datum and projection system. So the datum was based on WGS 84, and it was projected into UTMs in the 18th zone. We go to Add, and then we can close this. And we see where our turtles are located. We could zoom in a little bit more, zoom more into North America, and we could take almost a screenshot, if you will. We could first start by making a very simple map indicating where the turtles are located by stopping here and going to Project, New Print Layout. Let's call this something like Zoomed Out. All right, so that takes us to where we left off last time. So we're going to add that map. So add item, add map. So we're going to make a big map showing where our turtles are located in North America. But first, let's lock in this layer right here by going to Item Properties, Layers, Lock Layers, and Lock Styles for this layer. Now we're going to close out of this, and let's zoom in closer to our turtles location. Now we're going to inset a more detailed map. So let's right-click on turtles, zoom to layer. So this shows our turtle locations, but this is all the turtles together, all 5 turtles and all of their individual locations. Let's separate each individual turtle. So to do that, let's right-click on the turtle location. Let's go to Properties. And this is where we can start to play around. So instead of simple, let's go to Categorized. And for the value, let's set a different color based on the ID number of the turtle. So for value, we change that to ID. For the color ramp, let's go to something like Spectral so that each unique turtle has its own color. Let's hit Classify here and see what happens. All right, so now we see turtle 1 is red, turtle 2 is orange, turtle 3 yellow, and so on and so on. Now let's check all the ones we are interested in. Let's hit Apply, and we see them showing up in our layers over on the left. This in just a moment. Now let's go back to that zoomed out view of the map. So let's go to Project, Layout Manager. We want to highlight that zoomed out and go to Show. Now we want to add in this new close-up. So let's go to Add Item, Add Map, and now anywhere in the map, we can use our left mouse and draw that box where we want to put this zoomed in layer. And it's going to draw that in for us. And we can play around with this. But first thing we want to do is add in a legend. So add legend. Let's say we want to put that over here. We can put it wherever we want, really. So this is going to show up in Item Properties. And we can start playing around with this by adding a title. And this is where we can also play around with removing certain features. So we can double click on that blue item. Sorry about that. So we had to unclick the auto update. Now we can click on that blue color and hit the minus button below, and that removed it from our legend. And let's say we don't want the OpenStreetMap in our legend. We can highlight that and also click on that minus sign. Okay, and we can play around with the fonts, all kinds of things with our legend. We can put a frame around our legend and play around with the thickness and the color. So we can have a lot of fun with this. Now let's make sure we add in our north arrow somewhere in here and our scale bar somewhere in here. And again, you can play around with those that you learned from last week's assignment. Very important to add in a title. And again, we can play around with the font and the size. So there's lots of things we can do with our map to now show this inset of a kind of a zoomed in look at what we're interested in. And we can still play around with where we show our legend. So you can play around a lot with this. So have fun adding in the turtle layer again, making a nicer map with more detail. You can add frames around these different map features. Then we want to save. So we will go to layout. We're going to export it as an image. And let's export it. We had a better luck with Elms if we imported it as a JPEG instead of a PDF. So let's call this nicer turtle map. Save it as JPEG over to our ENST 456 folder and hit save. So that'll save, and then you can upload that to Elms. So I hope you have a lot of fun this week playing around with maps, and I will see you next time.